Hey, it's another beautiful winter's day here in Durban, and I'm with Michael. Nice to meet you, Michael. Just quickly remind me how you came to, because I saw you a minute ago saying, oh, you Dave.
Yeah, perfect. I live in a homeless shelter here in Durban, so does my mother. I met a gentleman about a week ago named Francois, a very kind man. He was up and down the beachfront every day helping the homeless with some bucks and food wherever he could.
Wow.
And I was just waiting patiently to meet him, and I was sitting quite depressed one day up by Circus. The man approached me and he kindly assisted me with some help. And I asked him a little bit about himself, and he explained to me that he's actually here on the beachfront looking for a gentleman named Dave that used to walk up and down preaching to the guys. Well, I wouldn't say preaching, but the giving information that he does. Anyhow, I did receive Francois' number for personal use, obviously, but miraculously today I ran into Dave. Yeah, and here we are. I'm gonna give give Francois details to Dave just after we've spoken.
Awesome. I'm looking forward to that.
If you have any questions, you can shoot.
All right. Cool. Well, we'll get on to that. But I was just starting to talk to Michael about flat Earth, because you've not heard that. And when I presented to you the idea that, because you asked me if all the images that we see of the globe are real, I'm like, no. Well, unfortunately, they're not. They're all CGI, and NASA themselves admit that none of their images are photographs, like with one camera. So that's one of the big things. For me, it was the moon landings as well. I mean, I don't know if you've looked into those yourself.
Well, I've only heard about the moon landings. I mean, what was the first guy's name apparently that...
Neil Armstrong.
Neil Armstrong landed on the moon.
Yeah, he was offered $5,000 to put his hand on a Bible and swear he went to the moon, and he wouldn't do it.
Sworn secrecy.
Well, he wouldn't. Well, not to sworn secrecy, but he wouldn't swear to truth to God that he'd walked on the moon.
Has anything been to the moon?
Has anything been to the moon? As far as we can tell, we can only get about 200,000 feet into the sky, about 40 kilometers, 50 kilometers. That's about it. None of our craft can survive the cold and the lack of atmosphere, because things just get thinner and thinner. Basically, you're starting to fly.
Pressure.
Yeah, you're flying in thinner, and so you've got nothing to push against, So we find that rocketry seems to be just like, a hot air balloon that has a big rocket strapped to the bottom, and they fling it up into the sky about 20 miles, and then it starts to do a parabolic arc and comes back down into the sea.
Wow.
When we look at the ISS, we find that so much of their footage is either looks like a CGI or a sound stage. Sometimes you can hear what sounds like an aeroplane when they're doing the floating stuff, which indicates that they might be doing it in the zero-G plane they use for training astronauts. Same with the pool they use for training spacewalks. The spacesuit looks identical in the spacewalk as it does under 20 or 30 meters of water in the pool.
What does ISS stand for?
International Space Station.
Wow.
Apparently there's been for 20 or 30 years, there's been men floating around up in space, so they call it, or low Earth orbit. But none of this can be substantiated. They built a craft that we have never seen it being built on Earth. They just simply fly these pieces up there. Same with the lunar lander. They never managed to get the thing to land on Earth. But we're told, well, because the atmosphere is so much thinner, no problem, we'll be able to do it when we get there. And they do it first time.
Wow.
So, yeah.
Yet they weren't able to do it on Earth.
They weren't able to do it, yeah. They're same with the spacesuit. We've never seen a man go into a vacuum chamber, a complete vacuum chamber, and survive that.
Wow.
With a spacesuit on, you'd think they'd test that, right?
So you basically just see all of that on video and it's all faked.
Yes.
Wow. Why are we lied to so much by these people? Why do they want the world to...
They want to hide God. Really, they want to hide the truth of who you are and your relationship to whatever God is, to the creator of all things. And by creating these deceptions, religions, beliefs in spacemen, evolution, dinosaurs, a 14 billion year story, which just luckily, has this Earth space for us to inhabit. And we could be wiped out at any time. So we need protection. It's like they do with religion. They say, you've come here as a sinner, so you need me to protect you. It's like a mob syndicate thing. put crime in your mind and you think you need protection from the crime, but it's mostly in the mental, in the mind. Government means to control the mind. Entertainment means to hold the mind. And all of these things have been designed. Religion is a ligature. It's to hold you in a belief.
Government and entertainment are like synonymous.
Yes. They're all part of the same machine. And all of it was designed from the printing press forward for 400, maybe 500 years, at least we know of, to this end, to control the consciousness, if you like. Because if we are creator, if we are co-creators of this world, then what we believe shapes what we will create.
So
If we believe that we are merely, barely evolved apes that have, for the last few thousand years learned how to kind of control the environment and so on, then we will accept the story that we are somehow at the super evolved end of the human story, when in fact we could be at the low end of the dark ages.
or at an extreme peak of futuristic success.
Yeah, but it's but again, the success of technology is not the success of humanity. Technology, like these corporations that rule the world today, they have no heart. They're dead entities. And the more that we give away our power or energy to dead entities, the more dead the human story becomes.
I hear you.
The more we give our life, it's the same as what you eat. If you eat dead food, it'll kill your body. If you eat living food, it'll heal you. Yeah. So the human spirit is being consumed by this idea of materialism, consumerism. We are just infinitesimally insignificant specks. Nothing matters. We live, we die. Who gives a shit?
And according to God, what's your outlook on God? Do you believe in a God, a specific God?
Well, I believe that. My experience on the DMT was that there is a higher power in existence. I connected immediately to it. My higher self, at the very least, which I thought was connected to something much greater than that too. So I think that might be like a set of sub-gods and then like a super creator of all things, because when God spoke the world into existence, he was speaking to someone. He was saying, let there be light and let there be this and so on. And so was he talking to the gods of the light, the god of the sea? Is this possible that there are sub-gods, but all of them sub to the creator of all things? But the name of the all things guy, or not guy, but entity or energy or consciousness is not something I would contest, just that I know that there is that. And whatever that is, it's infinitely loving and infinite. It's an unending, unquenchable, it cannot be hurt, and it's waiting for us to kind of find our way, I think. But maybe the soul's...
That's cool, that's awesome. I like
Thank
that.
you. You like that?
Yeah, no, definitely. I smoked your outlook, It's pretty cool.
So I think that, but it's a story that's occulted or hidden by secret societies, by their religions that spawn from them.
There's just way too many religions right now. I mean, who to believe in, what to believe in, how to trust it, where the source comes from. This way, that way. I mean, even if you just look into Christianity alone, you get your Catholics, you get your
Methodists,
your
and your
NGK, this
Seventh
way,
Day,
that way. How many different Bibles?
Scientologists,
How many different types of Bibles do you
Mormons.
have? Heck.
Yeah, hundreds of different variations on a similar theme. But this is no matter what religion you look at, they're all working essentially along with the system. There's not one of them that has said, hey, what's going on in the world at the moment, since everybody had to start wearing nappies on their face, is deplorable, and we will not stand for it. Quite the contrary, what you're finding is people.
So
This is bad for you.
pointless.
This is bad for you. The only point is to show that we are slaves, to show that we are actually cuckolded and under the control.
Believe in a lot of shit.
So yeah, like a Stockholm syndrome effect, where people are just taking the next beating from the captor, and really just and this is what they do. Like they'll go, okay, we're going to do it to you for another 3 weeks, and then in 3 weeks' time, no, we're going to do it for another month, and everyone goes, oh, I'm sure it'll be over soon, and when it's not, they just carry on going back to, oh well, next time, it'll be soon, whatever. Yeah. And just look at the TV. It's telling you what a good thing I'm doing by becoming like this communist socialist who is so concerned about what everybody else is doing. I had a lady in the shop the other day come up to me and say, my grandma is sick, would you please cover your face? And it's like, wow, how did I become responsible? But for some kind of new creation that is being born in people's minds. So the creators here, which is you and I, and all these people around us, I think it's all of us, we are being, let's say, what's the word? I don't want to say brainwashed, but hypnotized, and people are walking around in a almost stupor now, and the verve and so on is being damped right out of us, and they're recreating what we believe we're meant to be, and again, it's so far from nature, it's so far from what I think is intended. Now, when we're talking about sub-gods, it is possible that amongst the sub-gods there are energies that are darker and energies that are lighter. If God is all things, then God is both dark and light. But in balance, in harmony. Now, it may be in this world, just like in nature, sometimes things get out of whack. Things get out of harmony. Yeah. And so, it is very possible that the darker things have been, running the coop for quite a while. And in order to do that, they've had to dupe us into believing we were something far less than we really truly are.
Perfectly understood, yeah.
And that's what I think that's what we're seeing expressed here. And perhaps we're at the end of the period. Over the next few years, we get to an end where this finally ends itself, or we just find ourselves in a situation where people are living in some kind of Judge Dredd dystopia, where you're either completely compliant with the system, all chipped up, all credited up and paying your dues and doing exactly what you're meant to do, or you're an outsider, a little bit like you might feel at the moment. And then I think that this is what our system has done, is that it's cleverly used educational methods to stream out those people who would be a problem to the system, those who wouldn't simply be the order followers and go along with everything.
Such as yourself.
Yeah, I try to squeeze into the system, but I think that's what you see. When I looked into Flat Earth, I found a lot of the people that were easily able to see it, more easily able to see it, were people that had been squeezed out by the system. They were not egoically attached to their higher education and that kind of thing.
So there's quite a few more people that feel the way you do.
Yeah. Well, you mentioned Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole just now.
Yeah.
It was interesting to hear you make that reference. That's why I said Flat Earth, because David Weiss, his channel is called Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole, and he covers a lot of these topics really well. But yeah, there are, I would say, millions of people now in the world who used to believe they could walk on the underside of a ball and gravity would pull water and all that stuff to the underside of a ball. They used to believe that just like I did. Now there's millions who've realized, no, that's all nonsense. We can only show water be level. When it's still, the surface is always level. So when it's a bath or a lake or an ocean, why is it any different? It's, in physics, you scale things up, and the more we scale it up, the more certain we are that we can find no curving of the body of water other than for swell and wave and stuff like that. But that's not ball. That's just you spill move your glass around and you're going to create waves in it. And of course, on these oceans, there are massive forces that are bringing waves and tides and so on. But that doesn't make them not flat and they be one sea level on Earth. So yeah, there's lots of people who see that, and I was going around Europe and England talking about this with some friends. We were doing some touring and so on, and I thought I would come out here and try and do some more of that. And I'm assuming that this guy, Francois, was his name Francois?
Yes.
He probably knows me because of that. Most people won't follow me if they still believe they live on a spinning globe.
Exactly. He showed me on his phone exactly what videos to watch on YouTube.
Okay.
I mean, there was the Deep Inside the Rabbit Hole. There was something that starts with a Z.
Zetetic.
Well, I can't remember. I just seen it quickly.
Okay.
But he showed me quite a lot of channels that I can watch where you were actually found.
Okay.
Explaining something.
Okay.
So yeah.
Well, I'm just one of those guys who feels like it's imperative that we do something, and I sometimes despair because so many people are just kind of going along with this, But most people, to be fair, here in South Africa, when I suggest to them that by capturing your breath in a nappy and then breathing that stale air back in, you're going to cause your lungs harm, Actually, and also when you reduce your oxygen by a certain amount, you're going to affect your body systems, your brain, other things are perhaps over time going to become damaged by the lower oxygen levels. You know, it's like going and living up in the mountains, I suppose, high in the mountains. You know, that's going to weaken your body over time. Your body has to adjust to that. And then, I don't know, what happens? Do people get ill from that? And then we see a tsunami of unwellness, and then it's all put down to something that never was there, but other than the flu. As I said to you, when I took the DMT, I saw everything as electrical waves,
Electrical pulses, lights.
and then I went and studied a little bit of quantum physics. And in quantum physics, you can see how this could work. Everything is simply a transmission of sound or light. But a vibration, really, a vibration moving from one state to another, essentially from being slammed into the bottom of something, then speeding up again. That's what I think that's going on, is that energy is rising up and creating this reality that we see. And if that be the case, then it's possible that the energy that we live in, the ether, the environment that we're in, could easily be altered or affected in some way. And there's this theory that I have on the table, which is that in the previous floods, there's been floods of water and fire and things like that, and there's this talk of there being one of the ether. And so if the air changes, if the air quality changes, if it drops or goes up, how's it, guys? Good, nice to see you.
End up meeting Francois.
Oh, you also heard about Francois. I was just...
Yeah, told us he wanted to meet you so badly. He drove down from Dundee.
Wow, that's a big drive. He's a farmer in Dundee.
Yeah, and he really wanted to.
Wow, man, that's
he
insane.
He was following your research for 5 years.
That's
really
insane.
Inspired by what you do.
That's insane.
Yeah.
Well, thank you so much for finding me, because I'm going to try and find him.
If you go on your
Trinity 4.
Trinity
Yeah.
4, your thing, he left his number there in a comment.
No
on
way.
the video that we are on.
Oh wow! I don't get updates about comments and stuff like that, and some of my comments are like, I don't see them all, but I will go and check that video
You
out.
must go and check his numbers
Yeah.
there.
Oh, well, I'll be in touch with Francois then.
Comment. He
That's
really
awesome.
Would like to meet you.
Awesome.
Maybe when you're done with this video,
Just go and
if you
check.
could we go on Trinity 4 and get his number? Because we would also like to talk
Yeah,
to you.
for sure.
Please, mate,
Sure,
don't mind.
no worries.
Thanks.
Cheers, guys. Chat in a sec. Sorry, Michael.
No problem.
How's it, brother? You all right? Cool, man. Nice to see you. So we're saying.
Energies.
So I think there might be an energetic shift in the offing. I'll throw a crazy theory to you, because you seem to have a very open mind. There's a theory that goes that in a previous epoch, the environment, the conditions were different, so that humans and animals all grew much, much bigger. And that explains how come buildings in Europe and places like that have got these grand architectures and doorways and things that don't make sense. These tiny little people that were meant to be 1700 people, little, with horse and cart, and yet they build these things that we just wouldn't bother building today, so massive. So there's this idea that if you go back a few epochs and things were so huge, but as the epoch shifts, that these huge giants, titans they're sometimes called, just froze in place and became some of the rocks and the outcrops that we see today. Even some of the trees, or what would have been considered to be trees, would have changed crystalline and then collapsed and then fallen down. I've looked at Kilimanjaro with this lens and wondered if the mountains that run from there for about 140 k's into the ocean aren't what was the tree that fell down.
Oh, wow.
There's this theory that goes, because on the flat Earth.
I've also always thought that old wood turns into rock.
Yes.
I've
Yeah.
always
You
believed
thought
it.
that. All right.
Yeah.
Well, that's something that a lot of us are seeing, and even that organs, these big giant stones that we sometimes see might be organs, those sorts of things from these same giants. It is also a little bit off in the weeds, and I don't want to overload you with stuff, but there's some fantastic stuff about what our true history is. This material history that we're given, we've always been sort of like this from monkey and so. No, I think it was different before, different energetic environment, and it might be shifting again. And if that does shift, it's going to change so much on the earth. Having said all of that, I think it's even whatever happens, it's so important that we know our true heritage, even if it's been stolen from us, that we know that we are inheritors of this earth, and we are God's children, or we are God's expression. We are the expression. We are when God spoke us into existence. Wow, this is vibration. I am a vibration. You are a vibration. You're an energetic torus field, and your torus field is either messed up by what's going on, or you are able to find the higher Christ-like sort of ascension in yourself. If you can find that, then fuck what this system does to you, man. You will die a happy man, even if it's just you and your poor mates.
Sure, Dave.
Eh? All right, Michael. Nice talking to you, brother. We'll talk again. Yeah.
Video.
I'm gonna cut it.